All right, so it looks like the Steelers' 2024 NFL draft is officially complete because all we had left since we last talked in the 4th round, we took guard Mason McCormick, were 2 6th-round picks. So unless Omar decides to trade back into the 7th round to pick someone, Steelers draft is over, which I don't think is going to happen because I just saw Mike Tomlin on ESPN doing an interview, and you probably don't do something like that if you're still locked in thinking about trading back into the draft to pick someone. So I think this is it. I think this is the draft class for 2024 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But yeah, where we last left off, we picked Mason McCormick, guard out of South Dakota State, and we're thinking for these 2 6th-round picks, or at least I was, depth defensive line and cornerback. For the depth defensive lineman, you look at the guys we have in-house right now. Cam Hayward's getting up there in age. Larry Ogunjobi took a little bit of a step back last year after we gave him that contract. But then you got Keanu Benton, who should be a staple for us for the long term, for the foreseeable future. He's only going to be getting better going into his sophomore year. But after that, you got unproven guys. Talented guys, but unproven guys, like DeMarvin Leal and Isaiah Loudermilk. Montravius Adams, he's a little bit more proven, but he's got his own niche, and he's not necessarily going to be a long-term solution for us over the next 4, 5, 6 years on that defensive line. We brought in Dean Lowry. Same kind of thing as Montravius Adams. He's a journeyman dude you bring in here for depth, a veteran presence. So it's not going to hurt the Steelers to add another defensive lineman in here that could potentially have some extra talent or upside that could beat out some of these dudes that are on the bottom of the D-line depth chart. And then with cornerback, it was just due at this point because we hadn't taken a corner yet in this draft, and it was probably one of our top 3 or 4 needs. But I'm happy we hit on all the other needs, like O-line and receiver, and we added an extra linebacker in here. So, yeah, there's other corners out there in free agency, but at this point in the 6th round, it also wouldn't be a bad idea to take a guy either. And that's exactly what the Steelers did. They drafted both an interior defensive lineman and a cornerback. I think cornerback. Some are projecting the guy that we took to play safety. But the defensive lineman we took with our first 6th-round pick was Logan Lee out of Iowa.
Who?
And the second 6th-round pick at 195, we took cornerback out of Texas, Ryan Watts.
Who?
Logan Lee, you're getting kind of what I said, at least right off the bat. You're getting depth defensive linemen and competition for Loudermilk and DeMarvin Leal and Montravius Adams and Dean Lowry. You're at least getting that. That's the baseline. But I feel like this dude's got some upside. He's pretty athletic. 9.2 out of 10 on his RAS score, relative athletic score. 6'5", 281. So 281, he's a little undersized. Had a 5.05 40-yard dash, 31.5 vertical, 9 foot 6-inch broad jump. So he's athletic. Was also pretty productive at Iowa. I think the reason he slipped, just on my surface level research here, was due to him just not having a position. I think some of that weight, being 281, had something to do with it. He could play all these different positions on the D-line from 1 tech all the way to 5 tech, but that might be the problem, though. Like, he doesn't have a niche. He doesn't have a solidified role and is a little bit undersized. But if he could add an extra 10 or 15 pounds, could he be like a Brett Kiesel for us? Because some of the measurables and some of this, like, athletic grading, if you compare it to what Brett Kiesel was coming out of BYU back in the day, it's kind of similar. And what did Brett Kiesel do for us? Like, he was a depth guy early on, and he was a late bloomer and became a staple for us, for a good 6-7 year run. And maybe Logan Lee could be something like that. Like, I wouldn't have high expectations for him early on, but you could see the frameworks there where he can have an integral role in this defense in the long term. So yeah, he'll be an interesting player on this defense, and just see how everything plays out with him and the competition between him and Loudermilk and Leal and all that. Because that's the thing too. Like with Leal, let's not forget he was a 3rd round pick just a couple years ago. He was a projected first-round pick heading into his last college football season, his junior year. But he fell down the draft boards a little bit. Like, he's talented in and of his own right. So adding Logan Lee into this room is only going to help our defensive line point blank period, because someone is going to have to step up. Someone's going to have to rise up and win the competition for, like, defensive lineman number 4. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't mind the pick at all. I actually think it's a pretty damn good pick. Now, could you argue I'm trying to think who was available at that point. Were there any receivers? There were a couple receivers. Malik Washington, but I don't think we really need a smaller receiver now after drafting Roman Wilson. Johnny Wilson out of Florida State was there. I wasn't that high on him anyway. I know he has, the 6'7" height, but he looked awkward running routes. Yeah, I just didn't think he would be a good fit here. Or I don't even know if he's going to be a good player in the league. But he does have the height. That is something you can't teach. That's what made him somewhat of an interesting prospect. He went to another team in between our 6th-round picks. But yeah, I think it was a good pick. Was there another cornerback there for that first 6th round? I can't remember exactly. I think it was DJ James out of Auburn. So maybe that would have been a better pick at that point. But we did end up taking a defensive back with our second 6th-round pick in Ryan Watts out of Texas. Again, I don't know if he's going to be playing corner. He's got that avatar prototype it seems like the Steelers have been looking for over these last couple of years. 6'3", 208, had a 40.5-inch vertical, a 10-foot, 5-inch broad jump. His 40-yard dash was 4.53 seconds. So not extremely fast, but everything else pretty high. 9.12 out of 10 on the overall relative athletic score. The reports on him, the scouting on him is saying that as a corner, and this is why he's being talked about moving to safety, free safety. You could even see in the graphic right here, have him listed as a free safety, is when he was on an island, when he was playing corner at Texas, when he was being targeted, it wasn't pretty. Let up like 120-plus passer rating when targeted. I don't know what the deal is with that. Maybe just the skill isn't there for cornerback. He got away with it to a degree at Texas because he was still in college, but in the pros, it's just not going to fly, and that's why his more natural fit might be safety. So if he buys in, that might be how he makes a career in the NFL. But yeah, I don't hate the pick. We got a corner/safety, and if you think just with how the NFL is turning too, there's a lot more positionless players out there. Like, let's say in a couple years, Ryan Watts is still on the roster and he develops pretty decently. Could you see him playing outside corner for 10 snaps or 20 snaps, but then you move him to the inside and have him playing slot and helping out in the run game, but you also got him out there for a good portion of the time playing safety? Like, yeah, it's almost like playing Madden, man. It's almost like playing Madden. And that's what it seems like over the last couple of years the Steelers are doing with some of their picks on defense, particularly in the secondary, like with Corey Trice at JPJ, Ryan Watts, you got Deshaun Elliott, Casey, Minka Fitzpatrick, a bunch of these dudes you can move around. Even Pat P last year, he was playing a bunch of different positions. So I can't hate on the pick, man. I mean, it's just been an excellent draft, particularly when you're talking about your last pick in the draft being, late in the 6th round. DJ James was gone by then. I don't think there was anyone that stuck out as like a must pick at that point, because you can maybe talk about Christian Boyd out of Northern Iowa. I know the Steelers met with him. He could have provided some D-line depth, but we already took Logan Lee with our first 6th-round pick. I think that's just how good this draft was. We hit on everything, and got extreme value pretty much at every pick along the way. So let me know your guys' thoughts. This is an A-plus draft. Definitely an A-plus draft. No question about it from start to finish. Yeah, I think that's it. I will be on Bleacher Report tomorrow, live at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Probably just recapping the whole draft. Talking about maybe some things that I missed on some of these reaction videos. But yeah, stay tuned. Stop through for that too. And hope you guys enjoy. Have a great rest of the weekend. Peace.